Hello, my name is Pierre Goldstein, and I am coming from CodeTemplar.com. Um, we're going to go ahead and jump right into um, a cool programming language that I learned I want to say about a year and a half ago, called processing. I learned this under the tutelage of J. David Eisenberg at Evergreen Valley College in San Jose, California. And it was the first programming language that I've learned. So I was like completely brand new. I've always wanted to get into computer sciences, and I always kind of wanted to dip my fingers into it. And I still am a student, so I still got a nice little journey ahead of me. But I keep myself very active in um, in programming in general, and just kind of seeing what suits best for me. Um, but when I took this language, I was a bit nervous because I was one of those types that would go to a Barnes and Noble and pick up a Java book and like, okay, I'm going to learn this, and buy Java for Dummies, and I would open it up and I would be like, oh man, I am not getting this at all. And for the people that do get it, I really don't care. Who cares about you? I'm talking to the people who are kind of like, all right, you know what? Yeah, I got the first lesson of how to make Hello World. That made sense. Yeah, I kind of get the idea of integers and doubles and floats and strings. Yeah, I kind of get the idea of that. But then when you start jumping into the other lessons, that's when you start people kind of seeing falling off in the wayside. Um, but with processing, um, and what makes processing so special, it was a programming language that was made for artists to kind of start developing programs, and it wasn't to encourage uh, artists to become programmers. It was just to kind of give them a visualization of of their artwork. It was allowed them to allow them to digitize their artwork. Because artists can make beautiful things. I mean, and really need those people. I mean, if you look at what's driving application development nowadays, you know, um, are the smooth lines on a web page or the smooth lines in an application. You start your iPhone, you start your Android device, what you do, and I mean, what separates like a good app from a great app isn't its functionality, because I've seen some apps that function that are just awesome. They just work beautifully, but they really were not visually appealing. And then I saw apps that would crash every 5 to 10 minutes, but it looked great. and and so artists do kind of play a part in programming. We just hope that eventually that bridge kind of gets gapped where you see the beautiful artsy type of applications with great functionality, and everything runs beautifully and the world is peaceful. And que sera, sera. So we're going to be covering processing, and this is the processing IDE version 1.5.1, and I'm just going to show you the processing website. This is it right here, processing. I'll take you to the home page real quick, and uh, refer to this. Go to this. Look at the examples. When it comes to a development website, this is probably one of the better ones that I've looked at. That, like, if you knew nothing about programming and you didn't have a teacher and you wanted to jump into things, check this out. Look at this. The tutorials are awesome, um, and 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 they're explained by people who really understand the gap between the student and the master. And because these people who are great programmers, and I almost feel like I'm insulting them by calling them programmers, um, but but they're great at what they do, but they always take that role to also want to learn. They're also like, if you come up with a cool idea and you're like, hey, what do you think about this? They want to know. And they encourage that, and that's a good community that you want to be in. You want to be in communities like that. Um, so I'll show you the processing page. Um, you want to do processing, you got to get the IDE. They do have a little program or a plugin. If you prefer to use Eclipse, they do have a plugin which is in the library, processing library. Let's see if it's in it's probably reference. Yeah, if you go to libraries, and there's a thing called proclipsing, I believe. Yeah, there we go. So this is it right here, proclipsing. So it's like, so yeah, proclipsing plus a P5 exporter. And so pretty much what it is, it gives you that, it allows you to develop processing applications in the Eclipse IDE. But personally, stick with this. It's quicker. It's, it works better, less headache. You know what I mean? Just stick with that. You'll be good. So this is the website, and like I said, you can go through, and as you're learning, you go through it. We're going to be covering background today. Go through the background part of the language page. You know what I mean? We're going to be covering some shapes today, and so go through the shapes part of the page if I can find it. Well, it's there. Trust me, it's there. There we go. Shapes. You know what I mean? Arc, ellipse, line, point, quad, rect, triangle. So understand these things. As you go through the tutorials, understand it. You know what I mean? Get a good idea of it. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the book. And the book that we're going to be using is Learning Processing, A Beginner's Guide to Programming Images, Animation, and Interaction. And that's by Daniel Schiffman. Daniel Schiffman, really talented man, really talented dude, mathematics major. I think he has another little side degree. I don't want to say side degree. But if you go click on his bio, Daniel Schiffman's a really, really talented man. And I mean, it's these type of people that you need that kind of think outside the box, that kind of take things to a different level. You know what I mean? Do things that haven't been done yet, or if they've been done, making them better. So yeah, it says right here, he had a BA in mathematics and philosophy at Yale, and then he's got a master's degree in interactive telecommunications program. So that's Daniel Schiffman. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the book that he wrote, and it's a great book. Great book. We're to lesson 1, which is the beginning, and I'm trying to cover a chapter a day. So I'll try to do that best I can. So lesson 1 is the beginning, which covers pixels, processing, and interaction. So we'll just kind of jump right into pixels. And the first section is the graph paper. And how should you look at the programming graph? How should you visualize the area of a program? And so traditionally, when you've done algebra, if you've been in algebra before, and I'm pretty sure most people who are listening to this have done some mathematics, the line graph always starts on the smallest positive value, or the 0. It starts from left to right and from down to up when you go vertical, where you get the positive values. So from left to right in the horizontal, which would be from this to this, and from down to up, down to up. But in programming, I can say comfortably in almost all programming languages, your 0 starts in the upper left-hand corner. So where it used to be the bottom left-hand corner is now the upper left-hand corner. The horizontal positive values are still the same, still from left to right, but now the positive values go from up to down. So they go from up to down. And just to give you an example, we'll go ahead and I'll write a small program of just plotting out 2 points. And then we'll also cover some stuff right now on how to set up programs in processing. We're going to start off with void setup. And what void setup is where you just load programs up and run it once. So we're just going to set up a background. We don't need it to refresh. We're just going to run it once. Okay. All programs get closed out with a semicolon. So yeah, we'll just have a background. And then in the void draw is the one that gets drawn over and over again. And you'll see later on in some of the tutorials why these two are important. This is more of the I'm running once, this is I'm running all the time, and you'll see the importance. You'll get an understanding of it later on. Because there's going to be some things where you just want running once. There's going to be some things that you want that need to constantly update and refresh. So we're going to just make 2 points. All right. I'm going to start off the first point. One thing I almost forgot is the size of the window. By default, if you don't put in the size, it's going to give you a 100 by 100 window, which is cool. But we don't want to do that. We're going to do 200 by 200. All right. And just for the meantime, just to show you how this works, to show you that this is working, we should get a 200 by 200 window with a black background. All right. You're wondering what that little number is. That's the RGB. Usually you'd have to put like the red, the blue, and the green. And of course that's the number for black, 0. But if it's just one number for every column, with processing, you can just use the one number. It knows, oh, this guy's trying to copy the value 3 times. I'm just going to just run this as black, right? If I wanted to do a gray, which is 128, oh, cool, look at that, gray, awesome. I wanted to do a white, which is a 255, and all the columns is going to repeat it, and oh, boom, look at that, wow, winner. So, and if you want to try your own little color, you can. You go to Tools, go to Color Selector, boom, right? You just move that around, and you see it's giving you the RGB value. Did I say red, blue, green? First time. I meant red, green, blue. Excuse me. But you can also just kind of go ahead and float around and just get yourself an idea of what you want to do. But we're going to stick with the black background. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with the white background. Excuse me. We'll go with the white background. So we're just trying to figure out the point system. So the first thing I'm going to do is be like, I'm going to do a small value. So I'm going to go 0, 5, 5. So 5 pixels to the right and 5 pixels down, because remember, positive values go down. And then I'm going to go even a lot further, go 195, which is going to be all the way to the right, and 195, which is all the way down. And then we're going to run it. You should see those 2 points. Oh, there's one right there and one right there, really small. I'm going to be jumping the gun here just so that you can see it. All right. Stroke weight actually makes things a little bit thicker. So I'm just going to say a stroke weight of 10 and make it ridiculous. But yeah, now you can see it. Boom and boom. You see that right there? That's 5 out and 5 down. This is 195 out and 195 down.